Hey everybody, this is Michael with Carelifornia. I hope you're having a great day. I just wanted to make a quick video. I don't know if it's maybe just kind of my OCD or whether it's quarantine, being stuck in the house or whatnot, but I've been doing a lot of research trying to figure out the difference between the economic injury disaster loan, the EIDL, the one that we did the video yesterday for, and the PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection Program. And so these are both two programs that are coming out of the federal government, who is making changes to try to help out small businesses affected by COVID-19 and then administered through the SBA, or the Small Business Administration. So, like I said yesterday, we did the economic injury disaster loan, which is for kind of the quick injection of potential funds to small business owners like myself, and hopefully like you all who are watching this, who need a little extra help right now because businesses slow down, or they've really been negatively affected by the coronavirus. But today what we're going to talk about is the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program. And this one is a little bit different than the economic disaster one we did yesterday, primarily because it's a lot bigger. This one's going to take a little bit longer to get the cash if you're eligible to get it. Also, it's a little bit more difficult to apply for. And so I've just been going through all day trying to kind of make notes on all the different things that I've been able to find, and looking through the SBA websites and things like that. And then I made some notes and I made some slides, and I was like, you know what, I might as well make a video. I'm already here. So this is going to be a video primarily about the PPP, or the Paycheck Protection Program. The highlights are primarily from what I've read so far. Let me first say I am not a tax professional. I'm not an SBA person. I don't work for the government. I don't do anything like that. So this is just a small business owner who's been kind of cooped up all day looking through all the information and making notes, and I just want to share it with everyone just because maybe it'll help someone get a little bit more clarification, or at least get the right direction. I know it can be daunting when you have everything else going on with the business and everything like that, and then you're trying to sort through all these kind of different programs and information that's available, and you're really just trying to get through it. So hopefully this helps with that. I know that's where I was at, and I was able to break it down into these kind of little slides. And it's obviously not going to be comprehensive of everything that goes on, but so far it's just kind of an overview of what I've learned. And first of all, second of all, the actual loan is not available yet. So the information, the application, all that kind of stuff. So we'll definitely make a video. I'll make a video whenever I go through that process, because I know it's super helpful for people trying to make videos. Or trying to do the application when they kind of see what's required on there. But this is the information I've gathered so far. So first, I just want to say that there's no fee for it, right? So there's no cost for applying for the PPP loan, and it is a loan. So it's going to be something like, maybe if you've applied for a loan previously, a business loan, or even maybe a personal loan, there are going to be some paperwork and working with banks and stuff like that. But there should not be a fee for it. Now, some folks may charge a fee to help folks enroll into these apply, and that might be something that's good for someone who doesn't have access to the internet, or doesn't have any familiarity with how this works, or maybe just doesn't have time to do it. But in general, I don't believe there should be a cost for it. I think it's something that most people can handle on their own if you have all the information on hand. And really, the point of the PPP is that it is the much bigger brother to the other one, the economic disaster loan, meaning that there's a lot more money that you can get to help you sustain your business, to help pay for a lot of overheads, or a lot of those costs that can't be cut back or deferred till later, just because that's the way the business works. There's some costs that you got to pay all the time, and this program is really designed to do that. So things like workers, or payroll, or cover rent and mortgage and utility expenses and all that kind of stuff. And even moreover, something that's even better is that some of it can be forgiven, right? So although you can get a lot of money for it, a portion of it can be forgiven. So that's what we're going to cover today. So first of all, my question when I was going through is, do I qualify for the program? And for me, and for probably a lot of folks who are looking at this video, who have a small business, and that's under 500 employees. So that's, I think, a majority of businesses in the United States are under 500 employees. That means that you can apply. Now, whether you're a sole proprietorship, or an independent contractor, or maybe self-employed, so even if you're just a business of one, right? You're a DJ, or a realtor, or pool cleaner, or whatever it is that you do, as long as you're under that 500 employees, it looks like you are still able to apply for this, and as long as you're not like a government program or some of those other plan or other types of businesses. So I'm under 500 employees, so it looks like I can still apply. Now, can you apply for both? So the loan that we had looked at yesterday, the economic injury disaster loan, it is up to $2 million. So that's the amount that you can get loaned, and it would forgive up to $10,000, if I recall correctly. And so that is different than this loan, which is the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program. You can apply for them both, but if you are approved for the disaster loan, whatever amount that you're approved from for the disaster loan will be lesser on this loan. So if you got, say, $10,000 out of the other economic injury disaster loan, and then on this Paycheck Protection Program, you got $100,000. The Paycheck Protection Program would pay 90,000, and then you would keep the 10,000 from the economic injury disaster loan. So it'll be 100,000 in totality, but whatever money you get from the EIDL, the economic injury disaster loan, would be taken away from the PPP if you can get it. But if you have questions about how to apply for that one, check out the link here I'm going to put up that for the video that we did yesterday going through that process. It's super fast. It's super quick, at least to get it started. It can all be done through the SBA website. And it's not complicated, but if you want to take a look and see what that process looks like, click there and you can get a look at that. So how do you apply? So that's the first question. That's the second question I had is, so can I apply? What does it do? And how do I apply? And so for this loan, it is a little different than the other loan in the sense that it is going to be administered through banks, so lenders that are associated with the SBA. So it could be a big bank like a Morgan Stanley or a Chase or a Wells Fargo or Bank of America or whomever, or it could be maybe a smaller neighborhood bank or something like that. So you would want to check with the SBA specifically. You can go to their website and get matched with a lender on there, and they have a great tool that you can use to find out which banks are participating and who's closest to you and all that kind of stuff. But realistically, the SBA is basically just the bag of money, right? They are the money that's going to be there, and it's going to be administered by those banks. So if you have a relationship with a bank that is participating, you may want to reach out to them and at least touch base with them even prior to the application coming out, and just checking with them to see where they are at, if they have a listserv or if they have kind of a way to notify you when it comes out, or get that information going ahead of time. Check with them, and they can give you, first of all, more specific information about your specific situation, but also about how they're going to administer it. As of right now, I don't think there's a lot of information. All the banks that I've talked to so far say just kind of sit tight, and we'll get in contact with you as soon as we know what the actual process and format of the loan applications and for submission will be. So how do you apply? It's going to be through a bank, and it is like a normal loan. So you're going to have paperwork and loan applications and all that kind of information that's going to be required. So if you are one of those kind of business owners who really focus on running the business and maybe don't focus so much on some of the documentations and stuff that you have, the finances that you have, I know it sounds odd, but sometimes those things come later, aside from actually running the business. You want to make sure you get all that information together so that you can have it available when the time comes to talk to your bank and get that process going. So how much can you receive? So this is obviously the most important part, I guess, for most of us who are watching. They're thinking about applying for this loan. How much help can you actually get to help keep your business running? And so if you talk to an SBA approved lender, they are able to lend out up to 2.5 times your payroll, right? So that's the amount that can be forgiven. The total amount can be up to $10 million, which would not be forgiven, but unless you have $10 million, which is 2.5 times whatever your payroll is, which would be a lot. Good for you. But in this case, for most of us, people like myself, or most small business owners, or say you had, a shaved ice stand or something like that, and you're doing all right, but obviously you're getting hit by the coronavirus effects, then you could get up to 2.5 times whatever your monthly payroll is. So, for example, if you had maybe a bunch of stands or a bunch of employees and you had $10,000 in payroll every month, that would mean that up to 2.5% of it could be forgiven, 25,000 of the total loan. So if you got a loan for 25,000, then all of it could be forgiven. If you got a loan for 100,000, then 25,000 of it could be forgiven. And this amount is really intended to cover 8 weeks of business expenses and payments toward debt obligations. So really, again, that amount that is forgiven is amount that you have to use towards your business expenses. It can't be used for things that would not fall into business. There's actually some specific business expenses, and we'll go over that here, but it couldn't be used for things outside of that. Now, the total amount of the loan is a different story, but if you want the amount you want to get forgiven, which is up to 2.5% times whatever your average monthly payroll is, then you got to spend it on specific things. Now, if you've had a business that's been running for some time now, then you can they'll take an average of whatever your yearly payroll is. But if your business has not been open that long, it has been just in January and February, for instance, then you could do whatever the average is for January and February. But as I said, for the forgiveness, that 2.5 times your payroll to be forgiven, you have to spend it on one thing, obviously, payroll or commission payments and things like that. So paying for your staff. And I think, again, that's a big kind of linchpin of this whole program is I think they're trying to keep employees employed. They don't want them having to go away. They don't want them having to go on unemployment. And so it's much better to help the employers pay for them for this temporary period where maybe business is slower, but eventually it will get back to back going again. When is that? I don't know. No one knows. But this is meant to help, at least for the foreseeable 8 weeks, help pay for that. Group insurance, mortgage interest payments, rents and lease payments, utilities, interest on any existing debts, all those things would qualify for expenses, and you'll have to show them that you're paying these expenses for that forgiveness of the 2.5 times your payroll. So yeah, so you'd have to show that at the end of the 8 weeks. You have to be able to show that. So how much of my loan can be forgiven? So again, up to that 2.5% times payroll. You can keep the entirety of that will be forgiven if you keep all of your employees. So if you lay off some employees, so say for example you have 4 employees and you lay off one of them, the amount that's forgiven will be decreased by that percentage. So in that case, 25%. So if 1/4 of your employees get laid off, you lose 1/4% of the loan as forgivable. Or for example, if your total expenses and workers making less than 100,000 annually decrease by more than 25%, the loan for forgiveness will be reduced by the same amount. Also, if you've already laid off some employees, you can still forgive them for the full amount of your payroll cost. If you can still be forgiven for the full amount of your payroll costs if you rehire your employees by June 30th. So those folks you laid off, if you bring them back, then their salaries or their payroll costs can still be forgiven. And when is the loan forgiven? So the loan is forgiven at the end of the 8 weeks periods after you take out the loan. So it's not the entirety of the loan. It's the 2.5 times your payroll portion can be forgiven after those 8 weeks. And the borrowers will work with the lenders to verify covered expenses and proper amounts for forgiveness. So basically, you'll talk to your bank. They'll ask you to provide proof of what you spent the money on, and as long as what you spent the money on falls in one of those categories of payroll or overhead costs, essentially, then they can approve it and give you the sign and forgive that portion of the loan. The application deadline for the PPP is June 30th, 2020. So just keep in mind, these programs are first come, first serve, so it's not unlimited amounts of money. There's a single pot of money that's being set aside for this. And when it comes to these kind of programs, first come, first serve, it means that the people who get there first are more likely to get the help that they need rather than those folks who apply on June 29th at 11:49 at night. And so unfortunately, I think when they design these programs, they assume that the people who need it most are going to be the first people to apply. I'm not sure that's always the case. I think a lot of times the folks who need it most are the people applying at the last minute, or the last hour, or the last day. But so my recommendation is to make sure you try to get all your stuff in order, talk to your bank already, and get ready to get to the starting line to be apply, so that when the application does come out, which should be Friday or Friday-ish, I guess, somewhere around there, then you can get in there and get in before all the money is gone. So um, again, don't procrastinate any more than you have to. Obviously, if you're busy, life happens. But it's a great opportunity to help fund some of your business through these slow times, and getting there early, or on time at least, is better in this case. So what's next is we are waiting for the government, the SBA, and the lenders all to get together and kind of have a little powwow and figure out what is the finalized process for applying for these loans, and how is it going to get funded, et cetera, et cetera. More information will come out. Like I said, the loan is not they're not available yet, but when the loan application does become available, I'll make another video of how do we actually go through the mechanics of the actual loan and what they actually request on there, and I'll make a video for that. Just since it seems like something that a lot of people are interested in, and I'm interested in it, and I enjoy making the videos. So there'll definitely be more to come, either Friday or this weekend, depending on when we can get access to it. And we'll do that. So please don't forget to like and subscribe so you can get notified when that video does come out. Also, if you noticed at the other videos on our website, mainly what I do is health insurance, is here in California, so our videos are more educational about those things, whether it's deductibles or co-pays or co-insurance, or just health insurance writ large, but specifically here in California. So if you have questions or issues or need help with that, especially a lot of folks who are going unemployed, they have questions about what those options are. Our services are always free, and we just make these kind of videos to help folks out and get them informed about what it can be done, and also we can help folks enroll again, which is always free. There's no cost for any of the services that we provide. But whether you're in California or whether you're really anywhere else in the country, a deductible and a copay and co-insurance are all still kind of same concept. So I would still recommend taking a look at those videos, just because they are pretty helpful if that's a situation that you have right now, or something that you need help with in the future. So other than that, again, like and subscribe so you can get a chance notified when those videos come up. And we stay tuned for the PPP loan application. And other than that, you all have a great rest of your day. I'm Michael, just hoping that you're happy, healthy, and doing well. Thanks. Bye.